Welcome to another fun-filled show. I'm your host. He is Blanchard, aka he is He is Blanchard, aka Free Blanche, aka Blanstradamus. I would like to talk today about a video I saw, and there's a person. His name is his name is I thought I sent it to myself, but I didn't. Let me try to see if it's on YouTube in my history. I think this guy's page name is Truth Beholden. Let me go to my history. It should be in here. Here we go. I really wanted this in my, let me just go ahead and just, because I want to put this in a different view. Give me 1 second. Hope everybody's having a good day. Today's title is Culture versus IQ, a Christ solution. Okay, I just wanted to get this. There we go. Good. There we go. Okay. I'm going to just scroll back a little bit. Okay. Here we go. So let me, I'm just getting everything set up. Share screen. Let me see something. Okay. Okay. How's everybody doing? What's up, DS Rider Service? AZ, what's up, Paul? What's up, Tierra? What's up, Pamela? What's up, y'all on yes, Beholding Truth. Yes, Beholding Truth. And so this person put a title up of their video, and it basically said that Chad wanted, let me get the right title or thumbnail he had on there. Chad Jackson supporting white genocide in the name of Jesus. He's asking a question. Chad Jackson supporting white genocide in the name of Jesus? Somebody on this page said, it's quite telling how everyone on that Chad post on IG has an opinion about this video, yet we're only at less than 150 views upon posting this comment. It's almost like no one has any idea of what they're talking about, and they never watched this video, but only listen to propaganda from people like Chad. Very interesting. So now I'm going to tell you this right now. A lot of white people, I'm going to say this, a lot of white people have huge blind spots. They have huge blind spots in their analysis because they don't understand wisdom, discernment, or understanding. They don't understand these concepts. So it's hard for them to see the nuance in things sometimes. Now, Chad Jackson talks a lot about the communist influence on what we see today. You notice these people don't ever talk about the communist influence. They never talk about the globalist influence. They talk about black people having a lower IQ. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a bear in the room and you're looking and trying to catch the mouse. If I think about World Health Organization, World Economic Forum, United Nations, if I think about these global entities coming together to form a one world government, to me that black people having a low IQ pales in comparison. Y'all are focused on something that doesn't matter. So let me give Beholding the Truth some understanding, and Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes ain't even white. Nick Fuentes is, what is he, Irish? What is he, Irish, Mexican, and Italian? He ain't even white. I don't even, listen, I only consider you white if you care about your country. And let me say this too, before I really get into it. Half of the world population of white people, half of the white population in the world, they're liberals. They're libtards. They're idiots. Half of the white population, they're idiots. They want to see the world burn. They want to see their country burn. Half of the white people in the world are stone cold idiots and demons. If you look at any measurable data, it's half liberal, half conservative. Maybe 55% over here and 45% over here, or 55 over here and 45 over here. But for the most part, it's half and half. Half liberal, half conservative. Half idiots, half got some sense. So when we're talking about white people, you got to be specific. And you all's problem is that you don't understand. You know, but you don't understand. You have to distinguish yourself from what you call white people. Because half of the white folks that you are lumping in the white group are out to destroy you. Isn't it ironic that you all claim to have such a high IQ, but you created all these systems that are now hunting after you? They're trying to get you. You all supposed to have a higher IQ, but you created systems that have turned against you. You know why? Because when you created these systems, you didn't have any understanding. You had knowledge, you had information, but you didn't have any understanding. You didn't realize that all of this freedom comes with a cost. All of this freedom comes at a price. The Statue of Liberty, literally a global statue that screams socialism. It is a woman lighting the torch for a bunch of people who aren't Americans to come into the country. And that happened on you all's watch. That happened on a high IQ watch. Let's let the world know that we're a socialist country. And now you're crying and complaining. You know why? Because you don't have any understanding. You got information, you got knowledge, but you don't have any understanding. You can't see the forest through the trees. And this big global agenda that's going on, Agenda 2030, by 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy. You mean to tell me out of everything that's going on, more pandemics, cyber attacks, social credit scores, 24-hour surveillance. Did I say pandemics? Universal basic incomes, a literal complete invasion into Western countries. You mean to tell me in the midst of all of that, you picked out we got a higher IQ? You mean to tell me you picked out of all that I just said, you picked out we got a higher IQ than black people? And that thinking right there is why you all are getting hunted down. That thinking right there is why they're after you. You got information, you have knowledge, but you don't have any understanding. And your pride is telling you that you have to sit down and listen to somebody that may know more than you. What's up, y'all, on YouTube, Instagram? The Statue of Liberty is a statue of Lucifer. Because only Lucifer would say, y'all come on in. Only the devil would say, y'all come on in. So Truth Beholden and Nick Fuentes, you all have bigger fish to fry. Worrying about black people's IQ is the least of your worries. You have bigger fish to fry. The very systems that you all created have empowered these black people to do what they're doing. The systems that you created. The very systems that you created got the Jews looking down on y'all. The very system that you created has your countries being invaded. The very systems that you have in place are pushing you all to the bottom. You all have become public enemy number one. They said the number one threat to America is the white, Christian, conservative male. You all are public enemy number one. That means not nuclear weapons, not World War III, but the white, conservative, Christian male is the number one threat to America. Now, how did that happen on you all's watch and your IQ is so high? I'll tell you, because you don't have any understanding. You have knowledge, you have information, but you don't have any wisdom. You don't have any discernment. You don't have any understanding. You think that behavior is an indicator of IQ. And I'm telling you that behavior is an indicator of character. It is a moral issue. There is nowhere in the Bible where God said, I'm going to make concessions for those dummies over there. There is nowhere in the Bible where God says, I'm going to hold those folks to a different standard because they're dumber. Nowhere. The Bible says that God is no respecter of person. So whoever you think has a higher or lower IQ in God's eyes, it doesn't matter, because God has the same expectation for the person with an IQ score of 1, and the person with an IQ score of, what's the highest? Is it 210? I don't even know. I don't even know. Y'all sound just like, you're right, Paul. Y'all sound just like the Wiggities. You all sound just like black people. One group of people is being used as global crash out dummies, and the other group of people are public enemy number one. Both y'all are jockeying for who's superior. Meanwhile, the entire globe is standing on top of both of you all. You don't have any understanding. You don't have any understanding. Now, this person beholden to truth. Now, this person, I believe, really just wants someone to validate his message. You see, Nick Fuentes and this beholden to truth guy, they need someone to validate the message that's not white. Because they're white, the message will never be accepted because their face card is bad. I'm not saying it's right, but they have a bad face card because they're white and they're on the what you call right. So no matter what they say, how they break it down, they'll always be seen as racist. And that in turn invalidates the message. But if they can get somebody black who's conservative to say, yeah, we do have lower IQs, then they can kind of validate the message. That's what they want. They want to be able to validate the message. So in other words, they want to be able to come into an arena and use people like Chad O. Jackson and Jason Whitlock as shields. And then when they get too hot, they say, you know what? They agree too. Tell them. They don't agree. I don't agree. It's not about IQ. It is about character. What is the character of a person? In most of the comic book, or most of the comic book storylines, or most of these superhero movies, the smartest person in the story or the film or the show is usually the villain. Think about in all of these superhero storylines, we can look at Marvel and DC. Think about it, how the most brilliant people usually have the worst character. When we go through these hero stories, Aquaman isn't known for being super intelligent. Wonder Woman isn't known for being super intelligent. Superman is. Batman is. But not Robin, not Nightwing. What I'm saying is that the lazy way out is to say that it's because of IQ. IQ is not an indicator of behavior. There are people that are highly intelligent with high IQs that are morally corrupt. What you all are saying is black people are acting like this, and it's because they have a low IQ. But if I go around the planet and I pick out people doing the same thing, why won't you attribute their behavior to low IQ? It's a cop-out. To say that black people have low IQs is to say they can't be held accountable. I reject that. To say that black people have a lower IQ is to say that they cannot be held accountable. I reject that. I reject it. The Bible says that God gives every man a measure of faith. The Bible don't say God gives every man a measure of brains. The Bible says study to show thyself approved. Study to show yourself approved, not anybody else. All these high IQs floating around, and you all have become public enemy number one. How did it happen? I'll tell you, you don't have any understanding. You don't have any wisdom. You don't have any discernment. You're emotional. You're emotional. You are no different than the average black man. You are no different than the average white man that's a liberal. You are no different than the average man that's a liberal. You are no different than the average man that's a beta, simp, cuck. You're no different. You are ruled by emotions. You and Nick Fuentes, who ain't even white. If you all really want to have some solutions, you must first go to God. Get on your knees and repent. I guarantee that Nick Fuentes and Beholden to Truth have not sat down and prayed to God. Have you fasted and prayed? Have you asked God for the answer? What has God shown you? Have you prayed to God about the relationships between white and black? Have you prayed to God about the race issue in this country? Have you fasted about it? If it's so important, because it has to be important because you all are bypassing this global agenda to worry about black folks' low IQ. So if it's so important, have you given it to God? Have you met with black folks and prayed for them? Have you taken time out of your show to pray for black people? Have you all prayed for black folks to see the light? You said you're Christians, right? You're believers. So have you prayed for black people? Have you prayed for God to heal this nation? No, you haven't. You know why? Because you don't have any wisdom. You don't have any discernment. You don't have any understanding. And instead of just saying, you know what, maybe we don't know, your pride is going to make you double down. And as time goes on, your space in the world gets smaller and smaller. Your numbers are already cut in half because half of these white folks running around are crazy libtards. So and they'll come after you too. Your numbers are already cut in half. Half of what's left of you all is half women, and we got to factor in women and children. So we got half of you all that's left. Out of that, you got men, women, children, and elderly. Your numbers are very small on a global scale. So the rhetoric that you're pushing is not going to be beneficial to you because you're going to need people like Chad and people like Jason Whitlock, people that have character enough to stand up for you all. You're going to need them. You're going to need them. You all have created a system. They're not going to let you all separate. There is no voluntary segregation. There is no voluntary. You've already set the system up. You all took prayer out of school in 1962. Your IQ was so high, you had an epiphany. Your IQ was so high that you had an epiphany. I got it. Let's take prayer out of schools. Dummy. Y'all been controlled by these communists for the past 100+ years. But your IQ is so high. If your IQ is so high, how did the civil rights movement happen on your watch? How did Black Lives Matter happen on your watch? You mean to tell me you all created this great nation just to give it away to a bunch of degenerates and demons and heathens and thoughts? Y'all a bunch of weak, beta, simp, cucks. And you need to repent. You have a lazy take. It's a lazy take. It's lazy. I'm going to look at behavior and link it to IQ. And I'm telling you, it's cultural. I'm telling you that Black culture is the global culture. You can go around the world to any group of people, and when they see a Black person from America, they got 1,000 questions. They know who the stars are. They know everything about Black folks in other countries. How is that possible? Without the machine being behind it. It's not IQ. It's culture. Black culture is supported by the government. It's supported by Hollywood. It's supported by the educational system. Black culture is supported by every system on this planet. It's supporting Black culture. Because the goal is to make the world Black so it can be controlled. You all have no idea what it takes for a person to break away from Black culture. They literally have to become a new person. They literally have to be born again. Imagine Black culture in the household. Then you walk down the street, still Black culture. You get on the public transit or you walk to school, you're still seeing Black culture. Turn on the radio, still Black culture. Look on social media, still black culture. Go to the school, still black culture. Go to church, still black culture. Watch a sporting event. It could be an all-white sporting event, and they're playing black artists on a loudspeaker. It could be an all-white football game, 100,000 plus people, and they're playing black music on the loudspeaker. So what you all have is Western culture. Chinese people may have Asian culture. Japanese may have Japanese culture. Latins have Latin culture. Mexicans, Mexican culture. Pacific Islanders, Tongans, Samoans. They have their own culture. But black culture is a global culture. Black people in America have to share black culture with the world. And the machine is behind it. Joe Biden became president. He got on that stage and said, I want to thank black people because without you, it wouldn't have been possible. Kamala Harris's whole campaign was black culture. They spent almost $2 billion for Kamala Harris to run on black culture. You all have no idea the magnitude of black culture. You have no idea. You can't even fathom what it is and what it takes to break out of it. And to Nick Fuentes and Beholden to Truth, if you all grew up under black culture, you would be the same way. Both of you all would be liberal white cucks. Right now, you're just conservative cucks, CCs, conservative cucks. But then you would have been a liberal cuck on the other side. You all would have been this extreme on the other side. In fact, you wouldn't even been this extreme. You never would have been where you are. I know what happens when white folks grow up under black culture. They're not very high achieving. They're not. I'm sorry. Most of the white folks that grow up under black culture, they degenerates too. They don't go and try to make the world better. No, they don't. They join gangs. They go to prison. They do this. They got baby mama. They do the same thing. They tat it up. They do the same thing. But let's continue. And let me say this before we get into this. I don't totally disagree with this guy and Nick Fuentes. They say things I agree with. What I don't agree with is you all saying that you're Christians and that black people are inferior. That's what I don't agree with. And you're basing inferiority on behavior. You're not factoring in culture. That's what I disagree with. If you tell me that black people got a problem with degeneracy, I say you're right. If you tell me black folks culture is trash, I'll say you're right. If you tell me that black folks just can't get right, I'll say you're right. But what I won't do is give black people a cop-out as to say that you ought to like this because your IQ is low. I won't do that. You're like this because your character is low. You have a choice. You don't have to be a degenerate. That's what I disagree with. And it's a lazy man's take. It's a lazy man's take. But let's continue.
Can honestly go out there on their platform and say that for thousands of years, the average IQ in sub-Saharan Africa is 68. It bothers me that we have to explain why this matters. It bothers me that somebody as intelligent as Chad Jackson or Jason Whitlock can honestly go out there on their platform and say that a group average IQ of 68 should be expected to maintain the same society, the behavioral expectations, as people who have a group average IQ of 100. There's a viral clip going around right now with an African guy who's talking to a couple of different other Africans from actual African countries, Kenya and so on. And he's talking to them about how all of the infrastructure that was built by the British in these various African countries has decayed and fallen apart. It's in disrepair. But
I want to read his comment on Frank Zanu's page. He said, understanding that you have to maintain things is not a matter of lacking the language or words to say it. It's an IQ problem. When you leave any group of people, African or not, with an average of 68 IQ with major responsibilities, you know what the outcome will be. We all do. So again, I'm gonna let him finish. But again, and this is where the disconnect is. They believe that intelligence is indicated in behavior. There are plenty of people that are highly intelligent that are immoral. So you have to factor in something else. And I'm telling you, it's culture. If you take the average African country, the average African country has enough funds to have their roads paved or their buildings built. But you know what happens? The leadership takes all the money. And the culture of the people isn't like Western culture. There's no such thing as standing up for your rights. There's no such thing as I want my voice heard. All these African countries could look a whole lot better if the leadership wasn't corrupt. But the leadership being corrupt isn't because the IQ is low. A lot of these leaders go and study abroad. They go and study abroad in Europe, even in America, and then they come back and they're tyrants. Because intelligence and intellect doesn't always mean good behavior. Character and morality dictates behavior. Stalin was white, right? How many folks did Stalin kill? Did Stalin have a low IQ? Stalin killed millions of people, but he's white. Stalin killed millions of people, but he's white. So why isn't Stalin's bad behavior reflected on his IQ? I'll tell you why. Because what you all are saying is BS. What you all are saying is BS. Mao in China, how many folks did he kill? Millions. Was he dumb? You think he had a low IQ? No. So we got high IQ Stalin, high IQ Mao, and they done killed millions of people. You know why? Because IQ does not dictate behavior. Morality does. Character does. Principles do. You all have knowledge, you have information, but you don't have any understanding. You don't have any understanding. Thank you, Tish. Because character trumps IQ every time. You've never met a person that had high character that you didn't think was intelligent. You never met a person that was of high character and you didn't think they were intelligent. No wisdom. No wisdom. They have a show where they swap the wives. You know that show where they swap the wives? I want to see that version of the show where they swap the children. Swap the children for a year and see what happens. Take some black kids and swap them with the white and see what happens. Put them white kids in black culture, and then take those black kids and put them with the high IQ white folks and see what happens in just a year time. Thank you, Neek. Wife swap. The Bible says that wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And in all thy getting, get understanding. You all don't have any understanding. You all have emotions. You all ran with a study. You all ran with an IQ. You all ran with it. The Bible says study to show thyself approved. You didn't test this theory out. You didn't test this IQ theory out, and you didn't pray about it. And you didn't pray about it. As passionate as you and Nick Fuentes are about black folks having low IQ, y'all should be in the hood right now ministering. As passionate as you, because you ain't gonna go, because you're not going against this global agenda. That's clear. You're not going against Agenda 2030. You're not going against that. Bill Gates is supposed to have a high IQ, right? Oh, what are his plans for the world? Klaus Schwab got a high IQ, right? What are his plans for the world? Noah Yuval Harari got a high IQ, right? What is his plans for the world? Bernice Burgo, the new guy head in the WEF, high IQ, right? What are his plans for the world? Why is it all these high IQ white folks want to destroy the world? Why is it all these high IQ white people, and we can say high IQ whites and high IQ Jews, why is it all these high IQ whites and Jews want to destroy the world? The IQ is so high, but the behavior is destruction. The IQ is high, but the behavior is death, destruction, and damnation. Just make it make sense. I'll tell you why. Because IQ does not indicate behavior. Character indicates behavior.
Why? Because nobody maintained it. And he talks about the concept of maintenance being a required component for a functioning society. You have to reinvest and you have to take care of things in order for them to stay in good shape, whether that's the roads, the hospitals, the schools, your churches, the electric lines, the plumbing, the sewage. You have to take care of all those things. We shouldn't have to explain this to people who are theoretically just as smart as us. Theoretically. We shouldn't have to explain, if you want your roads to be around in 20 years, you're going to have to put some effort into keeping them up. If you want your buildings to remain upright, you're going to have to continue to work on them. You know, things like weather happen. Your electric lines that connect your houses to electricity, do you think those are immune to weather, immune to decay over time? Do you know how the environment works at all? Apparently not. Apparently, maintenance is a foreign concept in many African places. And you can argue, is it because the average IQ of 68 makes things like maintenance hard to comprehend? Or if you're Chad O. Jackson and Jason Whitlock and some left leaning person, you would argue that, oh, no, they just need to be taught that taking care of things is important. They need to be taught, like 3-year-olds, that you have to take care of things, otherwise they disintegrate. They're not going to recognize the word disintegrate or what that means, but either way, these are things that white people and all civilized society learn literally as toddlers.
So again, no nuance. Let's say we go to, let's just say Senegal. I don't know. You might go to Senegal and you might see underdevelopment. But if you went to Senegal, where do you think you would see development? Where in these African countries, where do we see development? Anybody know? Neek said, where the white people stay. Isn't it funny that these African countries can look terrible until it comes to tourism? You notice how when it comes to the government buildings, that building looks right. When it comes to tourism, those buildings look right. So we see that they know when to make it look right, they know when to maintain it, and they also know when to not maintain it. Because the issue of maintenance isn't based on IQ. It's based on character. They're going to keep the money at the top and only invest in things that bring in more money, period. It's not an issue of low IQ. If the American government just gave all those immigrants all that money, all that housing, all that food stamps, all this, the government brought out the red carpet for all these illegal immigrants. And only half of the country said it was a problem. Only half of the white people said it was a problem. But my point is that it was a problem. And in other countries, what news reporter is going to get on TV and say this is a problem and get their whole family killed? What person is going to go and challenge the government and get their whole family wiped out? What person is going to challenge the system like we do in America, how we challenge politicians, how we challenge government? What person over there is going to do it just to get mowed down in the street? They're not going to do it. So guess what? I'll just walk on this unpaved road so I can stay alive. It's not an issue of IQ. They know what to make look nice in their countries. They know what to maintain. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the people. That's not IQ. That's character.
That you have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your living conditions, all of the property that you own, you have to take care of that. I'm honestly like a little confused as to why this is hard to understand. But that being said, when you look at the clinical research on IQ and the related behaviors that IQ drives, two very important ones are impulse control and time preference, meaning low IQ equals or has a strong correlation with low impulse control. And in regards to time preference, which is a closely related subject, low IQ means you have a high time preference. And the two subjects together can simply mean that you don't have the intellectual capacity to create hypotheticals of the future in your head, to weigh the pros and cons on, to make a decision about the present. I think we've already lost them. I'm sorry. I know it's confusing, but genuinely low IQ people, not specifically Africans, but people who have sub 85 IQ, they have a genuinely hard time planning the future, anticipating events, weighing the pros and cons of what to do, how to strategize the most important things they need to do.
So again, another disingenuous point. People have to be taught time management. People have become millionaires teaching people about time management. People have become millionaires teaching people how to strategize. You are not innately born with knowing how to manage time and strategize. You're not born with that. You have to be taught that. So again, we're going to talk about culture. What does the culture say? How much of the culture dictates the daily life? What is the culture? Innovation, new ideas, forward thinking, that is for developed nations, not most of the world. Most of the world says, if it's worked this way for 3,000 years, we're going to keep doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So again, time management, again, what do you say? He talked about time management, creating hypotheticals, strategy. These things have to be taught. When I go to the trailer parks or I go to the deep, deep South, I don't see these white people doing what he's saying. When we go to the trailer parks and we go to these very rural areas where there are a lot of white people that are poor, I don't see all of this, what he's talking about, white people. I see the same thing I see with black people. Why? Because that trailer park rural white culture is very similar to black culture. The only difference is that the media, the machine, doesn't promote the white trailer park culture. That's it. So again, strategy, time management, forward thinking, hypothetical situations, these things have to be taught. Everybody can be a war strategist, a war general. These things have to be taught. You got to be taught how to play chess. Black culture says dominoes or checkers. Black spades. Dominoes, spades, checkers, and connect four with no bottom. That's black culture. So again, the things he's talking about has to be taught. Now his argument is going to be, well, why is nobody teaching it? And I'm going to say, what does the culture say? What importance does the culture place on what he's talking about? Because that matters.
Such as maintenance. And so when an entire group of people on average have a standard deviation less IQ than the group next door, you're going to see them do things with low impulse control, high time preference. Things like it's more fun to shoot basketball and listen to Dr. Dre and have sex and use drugs than, I don't know, mow my lawn. Invest in education. Do any number of productive things in life. It's a lot more fun to sit around playing video games and all this other instant gratification than the problem is that they say, well, I can do those things tomorrow. They have the immediate gratification of doing something now with, I know maybe I should go and put some maintenance into the house or the maintenance into the car, the maintenance into my community, invest in my education, do productive things, try to grow my skills. But I can do that later. The problem is they make that same decision day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. That's an IQ problem. That's not realizing the cumulative effect of high time preference. And when they're in the snap decision moments of, man, that's a nice watch, and I got bills to pay, and nobody's looking, that's low impulse control.
Most black people are not criminals. Most black people work. We did on the show before, 58% of black people 18 or older own their own home. 58% of black people 18 or older own their own home. We've gone through this stuff before. And again, what he's talking about is character. You have to teach a child not to be impulsive. You have to teach a child to delay gratification. There are millions of books on the market for the things that he's talking about for adults. There are millions of bestsellers talking about what he's talking about. So clearly, They say black folks don't read, so black folks ain't buying the book. Everything he's talking about, delayed gratification, impulse control, strategizing, time management, there are bestseller books. Authors have made millions of dollars off of this very thing, and it ain't black folks buying the book. So clearly, this information is needed for even adults. That's what I'm saying. What he's saying is disingenuous. You take the average white libtard, they're degenerate scumbags. They're impulsive. They don't care about time, man. You take the average libtard. Are they strategizing? You take the average libtard. Are they strategizing? Are they thinking forward? Are they managing their time? Do they have low impulse? Do they have impulse control? Of course not. We've been seeing white liberals crash out for 5 years straight. They've been crashing out. Leading protests, tearing up buildings, dyeing their hair, fighting for trans, fighting for abortion. We have seen white liberals cutting up. And when you talk to them, does their IQ seem high? Again, it's character. It's character. These folks keep saying white as if they're not, half of them ain't libtards. You got to divvy up the poor, low achieving whites. You got to divvy up the liberals and the commies. You got to divvy up the hippies. You got to divvy up. It ain't just white people. That whole pie is chopped up. It ain't just white. That entire pie is chopped up. I'm almost done with him, y'all. I'm almost done.
High time preference says I could do this. I could get away with it right now. I could pay my bills. They lack the ability to forecast out into the future. But what are the cons? Can we stop and think about this for just a second? You know, maybe if you're Austin Metcalf and you're about to get stabbed to death, you would probably hope that that teenage black kid who illegally had a deadly weapon at a track meet, you would hope that maybe you had a physical altercation. You said move. He said, oh, touch me if you want. He gave you a shove. You would hope that maybe he would have the intelligence to say, maybe I shouldn't kill this person over this conflict. Unfortunately, far too often, that is not the case.
Now, I want you to think about Carmelo Anthony stabbing Austin Metcalf and tell me what he's gotten. What did Carmelo get for killing Austin Metcalf? What did he get? Think about it. Think about what Carmelo has received from stabbing and killing Austin Metcalf. Tierra, they said money. He's being seen as a hero. His family is set for life. Just think about what he's gotten for stabbing him and killing him. You're talking about IQ, and I'm telling you that what he got for killing him is the world. He's a hero now. He has shirts, merchandise. They're going to fight to keep him out of prison. He got the black support, the white liberal support. He's become a celebrity overnight. So what you're saying is it was low IQ. I'm telling you, this is what the culture is. The culture says, go out there and crash out, and we're going to reward you. What he did came from years of being told that white people are racist. It wasn't IQ. It's called programming and conditioning, indoctrination, brainwashing. It's not about IQ. You keep thinking that what he did was dumb. I'm telling you, when he put his hand on the knife, he was already planning to stab him. You know why? Because all white people are racist. I'm not saying it's true. I have a right to defend myself. I get to stand my ground. That's why he said, punch me, because he wanted a reason to kill him. And if we look at it, look how him killing that boy has paid off. Now, I believe that most of what we see in the media, mainstream, is a psyop, if I can be honest with you. I'm about to lose you right now, you and Fuentes. Most of the mainstream media we get is propaganda, and it's a psyop. It ain't real. But the premise of how people respond is what's real. What does this do for the climate of America? The goal is to put a battery in black people's back to go out there and really hunt y'all down. So y'all are focused on black people's IQ, but the World Economic Forum said you're going to own nothing and be happy. You got bigger fish to fry. Y'all can check him out. His page is Beholden to Truth. And like I said again, he and Nick Fuentes want people like Jason Whitlock and Chad O. Jackson to co-sign their message, but I don't know about Jason Whitlock. I don't know him, but Chad is an honorable man of God, and he would never get on a platform and tell that lie. The problem is that it's a lie. These black folks, it ain't low IQ. They have a culture of no character. It is a cultural lack of character. That's the issue. The culture breeds all the things you're talking about. The culture doesn't value family. It doesn't value education. It doesn't value finance. The culture doesn't value anything that it takes to build a society. And your question is going to be, well, why in the world would any group of people follow that culture? I'll tell you, because that culture is glamorized. That culture's on the billboard. That culture's in the movies. That culture's on TV. That culture is glamorized. If they glamorized Hispanic culture, there'd be a lot more tacos and burritos being eaten. There'd be a lot of ponchos and sombreros being worn. If they glamorized any other culture, there would be a lot more of it. Like back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, when they glamorized American culture, and you had all the American people looking the same regardless of skin color. It had the same effect. It's the same effect. It's the same thing. Ms. Graves said that's coming. I saw a video on Kofi 19's page, and I want to take us back to Dr. Francis Welsing and
theme on this series is Black Centennial, but we really don't mean one. This edition of Black Journal is dedicated to the Miami Times, a member of the Crusading Black Press, serving Miami, Florida, the 17th largest Black community in the United States. Our theme on this series is Black Centennial, but we really don't mean 100 years of living. What we have in mind is the Black presence, yesterday and today. And although our theme is historical and contemporary, this edition will emphasize the present-day issues of Afro-Americans. This special edition will feature two contemporary spokespeople.
Simulated students asked a great question, and he said, who's behind promoting Black culture? That is a very good question. Who's behind it? Who is the person sitting at the top saying that we want to push this culture globally? The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the rulers of darkness, against the wickedness in high places. That's what the Bible says. So the question is, who is pushing this Black culture? Who's pushing it? Who's putting it everywhere? Who's making, who is spreading Black culture everywhere? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? Is it the Jews? Is it the Vatican? Is it those bloodline families? Is it the Black nobility? Is it aliens? Is it reptiles? Who's behind pushing this Black culture? Who's behind it? Nobody knows. Most folks don't even realize how pervasive Black culture is in American culture and society. People don't even realize that Black culture is just as American as apple pie and the taco. I know the taco is supposed to be Mexican, but the taco is actually American too. As a matter of fact, the taco is so American that they got Taco Tuesdays. So we got apple pie, we got Taco Tuesday, and we got Black culture. We got apple pies, we got Taco Tuesday, we got Chinese buffets, and we got Black culture. Hold on one sec. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Don't forget hot dogs. My bad, Neat. So, okay. So we got apple pies, hot dogs, hamburgers. We got Taco Tuesday. We got Chinese buffets, and we got Black culture. Zaza said, and blonde weaves. Yes, blonde weaves are actually very American. Again, note to Black culture. But let's continue. So we got apple pies, Taco Tuesday, Chinese buffets, hamburgers, hot dogs, blonde weaves, and Black culture. Let's continue. Let's continue.
Persons. Dr. Francis Welsing, a well-known psychiatrist whose psychiatric theories and views on a number of topical issues have had a significant impact on Afro-Americans. She is the author of The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation. And Melvin Van Peebles, director and producer of various stage plays and movies. He is the author of a newly published book entitled The True American. Our first guest is Dr. Francis Welsing. Joining me in the questioning is Richard Prince from the Washington Post. Mr. Prince has the first question.
Yes, Dr. Welsing, it's been about a year ago since you were dismissed from Howard University. And at the time, I recall you charged that your Crest theory, which in brief holds that whites are inferior to blacks because of the lack of melanin, was responsible for that dismissal. And I'm wondering whether you still believe that and what proof you have of that.
Well, Dick, I do believe it. I was dismissed from Howard, fired from Howard in June 1975. In November 1974,
I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know who said it last week, but when I tell you she is the spitting image of George Foreman, and now all I can see is George Foreman. I want to say in this corner, weighing at 235 pounds, the undisputed heavyweight. I mean, I can't unsee George Foreman. I'm sorry, I can't unsee him. But let's continue. I'm sorry.
While still at Howard, I heard a rumor that I was going to be blocked from promotion and tenure because of my views, not because of my academic work. And I went.
Notice she said that she heard a rumor. Notice that she said that she heard a rumor. This man said, ask a question. Basically, why do you believe that Howard University, a black college, why would they fire you? And this is what these communists and Marxists do. They'll say they got fired for their views to make you believe that their views are true. Because the average black mind is going to say, well, if they fired her because of what she said, then what she said must be true. No, it's not true. She's just not a good professor. How about that? How about that? Because I've never listened to her and been captivated by what she's saying. She's never said anything that I thought was so profound. None of it. Saying that black people are superior based on appearance is insanity. It's like saying that an eagle is superior because it can fly higher. Like it's just a dumb. Like it's just dumb. Like because you look a certain way, you're superior. Something that we can't argue. Some of you ain't got no research behind it, no nothing. Just you're darker, so you're superior. It's foolishness. It's foolish. Right. Baby Boy. Remember the movie Baby Boy where they quoting Dr. Welsing in Baby Boy? The most foolish movie. He called, wasn't she the one talking about, well, he calls it a crib because he's still like a baby. He don't want to grow up, so the crib he with his mom. Like, shut up. He's a degenerate bum. It ain't deep. He's lazy. He's a degenerate. His mother spoiled him. It ain't deep. The crib with the baby, and then it's a baby boy, and we trying to get deep and have a play on words, because you know, shut up. Guns and butter, baby. Guns and butter. You see that? Man, shut up. I can write a black script. I can write a black script in my sleep. You know how easy it is to write a black script for a black movie or show? It's so easy. It is easy. Just watch CNN for an hour. You're going to have 50 movies. Yeah, Nick, he was an embryo. Remember he was, remember he was in the water? Man, shut up. I'm so disgusted. I'm so disgusted with these black films. I am disgusted with them. I'm disgusted. I watched this Tyler Perry movie called Duplicity. When I tell you it is... How you say trash in Spanish? Basura. Basura, trash. Debris, garbage. trash. The worst plot twist, the worst acting. Black films are atrocious. Black films are atrocious. Now, back in the day, we had some good black films, you know, because they were, I believe they were good because they were more wholesome and we could identify with the people. Think about the movie Moonlight, about a gay black dude with gold teeth in his mouth riding on 24s. Got all the awards, all the critically, it was critical. I said, let me go watch this movie. That movie was trash. All he was an undercover thug. He was a thug. What's the dude's name from Boondocks? Thuglicious. He was down low. That's all he was. He looked the part like he was tough. He was down low. He was getting drilled. That's all. The movie didn't show him getting drilled, but he was getting drilled, like his character. Moonlight got all the awards, all the acclaim, and it was utter trash. You just a baby boy. You not the real McCoy. Out here running these streets. What about your baby? What about your lady? Why you riding with me? You ain't remember that song, do y'all? The Baby Boy song, you ain't remember that song. Soundtrack trash, movie trash. Movie had no point to it. This man ended up killing, they killed somebody. They killed Snoop character in the movie, and then they get their life together. They killed Snoop in the movie, and then one went to get baptized, and then, baby, think about they killed somebody and then became men. The movie shows you the rites of passage in the black community was killing somebody else black. And then there was a happy ending. It was one of the worst movies ever. If y'all are bored one day, just watch Baby Boy. You not the real McCoy out here running these streets. Let's continue, y'all. Y'all got me sidetracked. Y'all got me sidetracked.
Immediately to the Dean of the College of Medicine, Dr. Marion Mann, and I asked him, I said, Dr. Mann, I hear that I am going to be blocked from promotion and tenure because of my views. And Dr. Mann responded, to be frank with you, Dr. Welsing, this paper that you wrote, and I said, the Crest Theory of Color Confrontation, he said, yes. He went on to say that it did not make sense for me to say that white people were envious of black people because white people lack skin pigmentation. And we went on from that point.
So basically, he said, listen what she said. He said, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. You're saying that white people are jealous of black people because of the skin pigmentation. So in other words, we thought you were this highly intelligent woman. We thought you had new ideas. Come to find out, you're an idiot. That's what he's saying. He's saying we don't want you here because what you're saying is dumb. You have an entire theory that doesn't make any sense. That means they were meeting about, in private, Francis Welsing's paper. They were meeting about it and they were discussing it. And they got so irritated by discussing that paper to where they said, we don't even want her around. We don't even want to look at her no more. We don't even want to look at, we only need one George Foreman in this world. Get out of here. That's what happened. He said, ma'am, it's dumb. It's so dumb. I'm wondering why you're even here. Why are you here? Let's continue.
But let me make one correction. My theory does not say that whites are inferior to blacks. I don't say that. I say that whites feel that they are inferior because they cannot produce skin pigmentation and because their status as, I say, a variant of albinism is genetic recessive to blacks, and they can be genetically annihilated by non-white people, that this is what causes that sense of inadequacy, that they have built a total behavioral system that is a compensation. White supremacy is a compensation for a sense of white genetic inadequacy.
First, she just said, I'm not saying that white people are inferior, then proceeds to explain how white people are inferior. She just said, I'm not saying that white people are inferior, and then proceeds to say that white people are inferior.
I see. One other follow-up on that, and that is what background in genetics do you have to enable you to document that theory?
Well, I'm a medical doctor, and all medical doctors receive or take courses in genetics. And this is very, very basic genetics. And it not only is very basic genetics, this is common lay knowledge. And we...
Let me see, doctor. She said she was a medical doctor. Let me see. It don't really mean much because Ben Crump is a lawyer and he can't even read. So black people having these positions don't really mean much to me. Okay, so she received her MD from Howard. Okay, it says she's worked at many hospitals, especially children's hospitals. Yeah, I'm curious to see her. It says worked at hospitals. I have a feeling that's something. I don't know. Anyway, in the ISIS papers, she describes white people as the genetically defective descendants of recessive genetic mutants. She wrote that due to this defective mutation, they may have been forcibly expelled from Africa, among other possibilities. This is a quote from her. Racism, white supremacy, is the local and global power system dynamic structured and maintained by those who classify themselves as white. Whether consciously or subconsciously determined, this system consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The ultimate purpose of the system is to ensure white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on Earth, a planet in which the overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, black, brown, red, and yellow by white-skinned people. All of the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration compared to the genetic recessive white-skinned people. Welsing was against white supremacy and what she saw as the emasculation of black men. She theorized that white people were the first people with albinism who were driven from Africa by the black natives. Let's continue, man. My goodness, I'm speechless.
You hear it, the dominance, the genetic dominance of black over white is heard in the expression, one drop of black blood makes you black. In other words, if you were to relate to a white female, the product of that relationship would be an individual that is identifiable as what is called non-white.
First of all, the reason that one drop thing was said was so that the whites would not procreate with the blacks. So basically what they were saying is, if one drop of black blood is in you, you're going to be black. So it's a deterrent. It doesn't mean that it's true, Dr. Welsing. It doesn't mean that it's true. It's called a deterrent. It's called folklore. It's a wise tale. If you step on a crack, you break your mama's back. If you break a mirror, 7 years bad luck. If you sleep with a nigger, you might come up with a black baby. Like, it's just the same thing. So again, it wasn't said from a scientific or a truthful statement. It was a way to keep people from intermingling, specifically white. Specifically white. She's a doctor, but she took the dumbest take on that.
They would have something. I mean, the curliness of the hair, the darkness of the skin would make the child look more like you than like the mother.
That is a false statement. When black people go outside of their race, the first thing to leave is their skin color. Black people don't have the most dominant gene. They actually have the most recessive gene. Because anytime they mix with somebody else, the skin color goes. It's out of there. Matter of fact, it goes so much to the point where anybody that's light-skinned, the comment is what you mix with. We're not going to play this game. Black people have the most recessive gene.
Dr. Welsing, your theory to me seems to infer some innate behavior on the part of a human being because they are, quote, black or white. Would you agree or disagree that the terms black and white are not genetic definitions? And if they are not genetic definitions, then how could your theory be true?
Well, wait a minute. When you say genetic definitions, I'm not quite sure what you say, but for the sake of time, the factors that determine whether we're going to have skin pigmentation or whether we lack skin pigmentation is based on genes. In other words, you have genes that determine the quantity of melanin pigment that is going to be.
Man, she looks just like George Foreman, and I never saw this before. Like, I've never seen, dude, she looks just like George. This is crazy. Dr. Francis Crest Foreman. Dr. Francis Crest Foreman. She grew up well-to-do. Her father was a doctor. Her mother was a teacher. That is a bunch of communists.
Produced in your skin, in your eyes, in your hair. If you have a gene, a mutation towards an inability to produce that pigment, that is also genetically determined. And that is at least within the context of the Western world or the white supremacy culture, the dominant classification of people, not as determined by Francis Welsing, but as determined by white people themselves, as your classification. Either you are white or you are classified as non-white. This is on your birth certificate. This is on every paper of identification that you have. And this focus on skin coloration, I maintain, is based on the awareness on the people who are now in power, that they are a minority. The white group represents a minority in the world population. And the color focus is something that is a psychological necessity based on a genetic reality. So I don't know if this gets to your question now, any other thing that one might say that results from the absence of pigment, I mean, that's another discussion. I don't know whether you want to go into
Well,
that.
following that logic, then, would it not be accurate to say that there would be a difference psychologically in light-skinned blacks from dark-skinned blacks?
Well, psychologically, yes, and I think that we are all aware of that. Under white supremacy, the conditioning has been the closer you are to white, the more acceptable you are. So that, for example, all of us.
Do you know that how many people have even, Louis said, the Crest Foreman grill? Louis said the Crest Foreman grill. Y'all are out of control, dude. Listen, hold on. Hold on, let me go back.
Learned as we were growing up in the Black community. If you are Black, stay back. If you are brown, stick around. If you are yellow, you're mellow. And if you're white, you're right.
Who else says that? Did you just hear Dr. Jane Elliott? Who she sound like? I guarantee that Dr. Jane Elliott studied her. I guarantee it. These people got rich. Think about this, y'all. They're telling you that America is racist, but this woman was rich from saying that white folks were inferior. Think about that. Think about this woman got rich and her whole platform was white people are inferior. And she was a millionaire in America. How in the world could America be racist? How in the world could America be racist? This woman got rich telling white people they were inferior.
And the appreciation of an individual, even within the Black group itself, was very often based on the relative absence of skin pigmentation. And even within families, children thought that they were ugly if they were darker. And families, parents have said that to children. Even now, people want to know when a baby is just born in the hospital, some of the first questions that are asked by the Black parents about the child or the Black family members, is it light skin and does it have straight hair? To know how much value we're going to put on this new baby. Because within the framework of the culture in which we live, the closer you are to white, the more you're considered beautiful, and perhaps under some circumstances, the more opportunities you will have.
Well, Dr. Welsing, if it is true that you were dismissed from Howard because of your views on that subject, what would you say then of the implications for academic freedom at Howard University?
Well, I say that, first of all, Howard University is a Black university in name only. In other words, those who fund an institution within the framework of a political system, those who fund an institution determine what is going to be done within the framework of that institution. And so although Howard University is referred
like every other school in America, Howard is not unique in that sense. Every school does that. What are you talking about?
to as a Black university, and the majority of the student body is Black, and the majority of the faculty is Black, still it is possible, I say it is possible, that those people who control the purse strings can say, we do not like such and such an ideology or philosophy that is coming out of this center. If this continues to come out, then we will not give you funds for building, and we will not give you funds to continue the functioning of your center. Now,
I don't even think it was that deep. I think what the guy told her was the honest take. He said, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. He said, it doesn't make any sense. And I know why he said it, because he's like, you reduced everything to appearance. You're saying that because you look a certain way and white folks look a certain way, that they are jealous of you. It's like, he's like, it don't make any sense. There had to be more motivating factors than just appearance. But I'm going to continue on Wednesday. I'm sorry, on Thursday. I'm going to continue on Thursday. Vintage Goods Willie, what do you call a post-op ghost with children? A trans parent. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Agatis Navi, for moderating. Thank y'all for tuning in, keeping the chat lit. I'm going to do a part 2 of this and, discuss, play some more of this video. I couldn't download Kofi's video, but I went to YouTube and got the actual video of her talking to this guy and the host. But what the guy told her was, your theory doesn't make any sense. And he didn't just say that because he just wanted to say it. They had a meeting about her theory. They met about her theory. It was like, this don't make any sense. Like, think about it. In this time period, there wasn't all this propaganda like it is now. So this is where a time period where folks still have some sense. So they're sitting down and like, wait a minute, this don't make any sense. And I think that what they were pushing back against was the reason. You're saying that they're just jealous because they don't have melanin? Like, listen, y'all. I love y'all, and I will be back on Thursday to pick up on this video and talk about some more stuff. That turkey meatloaf is gone. I made three for my job, and that turkey meatloaf was gone. I got left half of one, so they ate 4.5. They ate 5 pounds or more of turkey meatloaf because it was 6 pounds total. So they ate 5. They took 5 pounds, 5.5 pounds of that turkey meatloaf. All right, y'all. Love y'all. IG. See y'all on Thursday. And I got you, Goddess. I got you. Anyway, listen, I love y'all. And I will see you all. Listen, Skunky, I had the zesty sauce one. I had the honey barbecue one, and I had the ketchup one. So they tore up the zesty, pause, and they tore up the honey barbecue, and then they left half of the ketchup. That experimental loaf was gone. That was the first one to go. The experimental loaf was the first one to go. And I was just experimenting with that. I was just experimenting, But anyway, y'all, I love y'all, and I want you to have a good night. All right.